Welcome to Between the Covers. I'm Stephanie Larkin, your host, author, book developer, publisher, and I'm the head penguin at Red Penguin Books, a publishing company that works with authors of all genres. Whether you have a manuscript all ready to go or just a book inside just dying to get out, unleash your inner author at Red Penguin Books. I thank you so much for joining us today, and I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, without whom none of this would be possible. My favorite beverage next to those bottles of wine on the table is Don Pablo coffee. Have some Don Pablo coffee where all the coffee beans are individually chosen, so each cup is an artisanal blend of coffee. Don Pablo coffee. If it's not wine, it might as well be caffeine. And also, my good friend Joe Faulisi, he's a lawyer and an accountant. Faulisi Law Firm for small businesses. He can cover all your bases so you don't get into that awkward conversation with your lawyer who says, ask your accountant. And your accountant who says, ask your lawyer. He went to school for like 100 years, so he can do it all. So Faulisi Law Firm, and thank you to both of our sponsors this week. And please welcome with me our first guest, author Dina Santarelli. Woo! Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Oh God, I'm so glad you
I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, I'm thrilled you came. And look at how fat those books are.
Know.
Oh my gosh, this whole pile is...
Yeah. It took me about 1.5 years for each book to write each book.
Okay, then I feel really guilty when, I'm like halfway through your book and you're like, you read that fast. I'm thinking, you wrote, it took so long.
I know, but I'm an incredibly slow reader for some reason.
Oh, you really?
I write fast, but I read slow.
Do you really?
Yes.
Okay, now I read fast, but I write probably because
Like
I'm reading.
yin and yang.
I read a whole lot of things.
Oh,
every
yeah, I
day.
could imagine.
There's a lot to be read in a week.
That's for sure.
But you write fast. Can you type fast? I mean, is that a thing?
I was so excited to take typing in high school for some reason. Yeah, so I type pretty quickly.
Do you use all your fingers?
I do.
Oh my God, I use like
And
these.
I've taught my children to use it too, as much as I can.
I type with 2 fingers, just 2. I went to school. I probably took the same typing class, and I cheated. ASDF space ASD. Yeah, no, I cheated. And now that I'm working with writers all day, I'm thinking, I wish I had more than 2 fingers.
There's always time, you can still learn.
Maybe. Now, do you do any voice dictation for your writing or no?
I don't. I've thought about it.
That's
but
like a new thing that people are doing.
I know. I guess I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah. Although be a little cautious because I voice dictate a lot. Emails, text messages, things like that. And sometimes what it says it is not really what you said it was.
That is true.
I got in very big trouble once. It was like putting in 4-letter words that didn't belong there. Luckily, it was a lovely client of mine.
Oh, that's
Good
so
shout out to all of my clients who understand me and emailed back and said, "Did you really mean this?" And I was like, I was terrified.
Oh, that's so
I was
funny.
absolutely terrified.
Oh
Well,
my God.
while you're here, I had asked all of our viewers last week if they could please share our show, which obviously they did because we are going out to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So I did my best on Facebook. I filled this up with the names. I had to literally go on Facebook and get every single person who shared our show and put their name in here so that they can win a copy of your book. Now let's hope that they're watching so that they can tell me where I'm sending the copy because Facebook doesn't tell me all of that stuff. But if you would please pick
I would
the
love to.
winner. If you pick yourself, I'll laugh because I saw you as a share.
I did share.
I did see that. Your name is in there,
Okay.
and I'll die if you
Here you
pick
go.
yourself. Let's see. And our winner is Janice Eckerly Moran.
Yay.
She definitely needs it sent. Congratulations. Okay, you're getting a free copy of the book, and it's a fabulous book.
Oh, thank you.
I love it. Can I
Thank
have an
you.
autographed copy,
Of
please?
course,
I have
of
a
course.
pen here. So, oh my God, look at these fat books. I can't believe it. This is the one I'm halfway through right now. I am loving that book.
Oh, I'm so
And I'm going to
glad.
have to
I'm
ask
so
you a million
glad.
questions, like what inspired you?
Oh my gosh.
I hope I'm not giving anything away. Well, you should probably say what it's about because you know what not to give away. I'm only halfway through, so obviously I can't give away the end. But
well, it's a contemporary suspense thriller, and how it opens is the infant child of the governor of New York disappears from her crib.
Yes.
And that same day, a young woman is abducted from Bryant Park in Manhattan. And you're not sure why at first, but it turns out she's abducted so she can care for the child while the bad guys figure out a way to stay the execution of a mob boss who is on death row.
And it's 3 volumes, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So
it started off as 1.
okay,
Yeah.
I'm thinking, look at how good I am. I'm like halfway through that. I'm not even close to the end. There's all of this left to go.
But it really did start off as 1 book.
Did it really?
I was going, 1 and done. And then when I was writing the last chapter, I thought, I can start seeing the story continue.
Oh, it's
and
like
I
when
decided to keep going.
when you watch a movie and they say, I already know what the sequel's going to be.
Yes, it was kind of like that. But towards the end, when I was writing the end, yeah.
So if I read 1, does it have any kind of a conclusion, or do I really have to read all of them?
No, I tried to make a satisfying ending.
Okay.
So, yeah, if people wanted to just
But
read
I
the
still
one.
like the characters and I want to read more.
I'm hoping.
Now, did you work for the governor or something? I was just curious.
No, not
because-
at all, not at all. I'm a trained journalist. I've been a journalist for about 25, 30 years. But I've always wanted to be a fiction writer.
Oh, well, you are slaying
Yeah.
it.
Oh, thank you.
You are
I'm
absolutely
so glad you're enjoying it.
slaying
Oh,
it. And
thank
I
you.
figured you worked for the governor at
No,
one
not-
point because you had that whole inside view. We are going to see how smart our audience is right now because we have our book quote of the week. There was only 1 week that our audience didn't get it. So let's take a look. If you look up at the screen right now, there's a phone number there, 516-945-9099. So please call into that number if you know the author or book of this famous book quote. And here's our quote of the week. My advice is, never do tomorrow what you can do today. Procrastination is the thief of time. Collar him. Okay, I need to live by that too.
Really, I know.
We should all go home and do today what we need to be doing and not put it off. So please give a call if you know the author. We're just going to take a quick commercial break and be back in just a moment. Thanks.
The sun is getting warmer, but when we soar away among the clouds, the sky is just a border, but when we're floating up like helium.
Welcome back to Between the Covers. We have a fabulous author here, but we're getting 2 for this evening. Please welcome author Monica Bennett. Come on out. Woo! Oh, okay, she's not just an author, she's a dancer. I knew that because I read the book. Someone says to me, how many books do you read? Depends how many authors I have on this show. I have a lot of books to read, but thank God I love love reading. And you love writing. Do you also love reading, both of you?
I do. I read a lot. I read a lot of nonfiction as well as fiction. Right now, I'm reading a book I brought, Running with Wolves.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Women
yes.
Who Run, which is, every woman should read that book.
Oh, okay. I love a good recommendation. That's the well-worn one over here. Yes.
Yes.
What is that about?
It's myths and stories of wild woman archetype. We've been tamed down, oppressed, suppressed, and depressed for so long that it's to get that wild woman out.
Listen to
really-
this. We need to be
Wow.
wild
We need
women.
to be wild. We need to howl.
Okay,
a
I
little
hope my
bit.
husband
Howl
is
like a
watching
wolf.
this. I'm going to come home. He's going to say, "I think you're wild enough,
It's a
sweetheart."
full moon.
I love that. So do you lead people in howling at the moon and everything? Unleash your inner.
It's just, because so many women hold themselves back and we get sick and we get stuck and feel just not ourselves, and we try to compete with men in the masculine world, and it doesn't work for us. It's hard enough trying to be ourselves. And
You don't have to be
trying
somebody else.
Yeah.
Exactly. No.
Yeah, yeah.
I always say, be yourself. That you can perfect.
Right.
You are the best you
Right,
out there.
right.
If you try to be anybody else, you're just going to fail.
Yeah,
Why would you
right.
even attempt that?
Right, and so many women do. They try to be like somebody else. So I want to emulate this person, but it doesn't work well.
No.
To try to find our uniqueness and bring that out is the best version. that we
Exactly,
can-
I agree. So does this wild woman need some wine? We've got some wine here.
Sure.
And look at this. I didn't even know you were bringing the wild woman. Dark Horse white
Wow.
wine.
Ooh, see that?
Okay, so we have got Dark Horse white wine and some Reserva.
We got a
Cabernet
stallion
Sauvignon.
and a mare.
Do we have a red or a white here? I'm going to have some white. This
have
way, in
okay.
case I spill it on me, I'm not going to
No
make
one
a
will
mess.
notice.
That's always my thing. I drink white wine, so if I spill it,
Well, it's
nobody
red, but
notices.
it's a
I know,
different
we
red.
do have red covers, so that does work. Now, I know you're writing fiction,
I am.
and you're a completely different genre, which I loved.
Completely
You were
different.
both here. What made you write fiction? Do you read fiction or nonfiction for
You know, it's so funny you asked about reading. I was not a big reader as a child. But
You're
it
a
wasn't
journalist.
until I know. I know.
How do you not be a big reader
I
as a
was
child?
not, and I just fell in love with journalism in high school, and I've been a journalist.
Really?
Yeah, I went to college for journalism, but it's when I was working in the city.
Okay.
And I was living in Queens at the time.
Was it near Bryant Park where that girl was nabbed?
That's where I had lunch with my husband all
No!
the time. That's where the idea came from.
Oh, I was wondering
Yes.
because you knew that park very
I did.
well. You described it to a T, and I was like, "She's been there."
I was traveling to Midtown every day, and I was reading Michael Crichton and James Patterson and John Grisham.
Cute.
And that's when I was just devouring those types of books, and I thought, you know what, I think I can do this. I'm going to give it a try.
You're
great.
doing
So that's where the
it.
idea came from. That's where my love of reading came from, too, from commuting.
Wow. Okay, hear that, all those commuters out there?
It's a great time.
It is a
to
great
spend
time
an hour
to read.
and
Yeah.
You're
get
stuck
into
in a
book.
train anyway, and if you're driving, audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Yes.
I love
That's actually the
audiobooks.
biggest booming market is the Audible. In our own office, we're doing publications, of course, digital, print, and a lot of people want Audible. There are countries that are actually producing more Audible books. I think Norway is one of them than
Really?
print.
Really?
Yeah, they're very
Because people are so
popular.
busy.
Yeah.
You
so
know-
if you're stuck in a car in the train or
Right.
something, you can just.
I was wishing I had an audio of yours today because I was reading it this morning and then I had to drive to a meeting to meet, one of our author clients. And it was about, 45 minutes there and back. And the whole time I was thinking, I wish I could be reading.
Oh my gosh, that's such a compliment for an author to hear. Thank you so much.
I couldn't put it down. But then I was like, well, I better put it down. I'm on the Long Island Expressway. That would be bad. It was crawling. I probably could have read it.
Put a little
that's
dashboard
funny.
thing and turn the pages. Oh.
And how about you? Were you a fiction or a nonfiction reader?
Right now, it's more nonfiction.
Okay.
A lot of what's going on in the world today.
Okay.
And
Crazy world that we live in,
Crazy
yes.
world that we live in, and seeing how I can navigate and help people navigate through these times of uncertainty.
I like that. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of great authors out there of
Oh my
nonfiction
gosh.
too.
There's
Yourself
so many
included.
good- Yeah, yeah. Hay House has a lot of good authors,
Right.
Eckhart Tolle, and all these wonderful, wonderful people who have such great insight into
Exactly.
the human nature and spirituality and how to really get in touch with ourselves.
Right, and you know, that's such a drive that people have, is trying to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah.
Where so much of that nonfiction comes in, that whole genre of coaching through the pages.
Yeah, letting go of the baggage that we've accumulated all our lives and how we can just really
And be wild women.
and exactly. Just let loose and explore instead of just be. What you going to think of me? You know, and people are so. Public speaking is one of the biggest fears.
Yeah.
and that's
I know.
because of
I've heard that
criticism.
it's a bigger fear to publicly speak than to be dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Death in public
Okay,
speaking.
now I've been public speaking since I could speak, so I don't get that. I talk to everybody.
You know what's great about nonfiction too? So many authors now have websites with additional content
Yeah.
and videos, and
Yes.
yeah, there's
Right,
more beyond the book.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Fiction authors are doing that.
I know.
You know, fiction authors can have like little character dolls.
That's true. I have a short story
Yeah,
actually that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
companion to Baby Grant.
Oh,
Do you
really?
really?
Yes, I do.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. You'll have to say that to me.
You'll have to
too.
make a movie then.
Well,
There's
you
the
know.
movie version. Absolutely. I love that. But whether it's fiction or nonfiction, I think that additional content is so great because you know what? Your audience wants to know you. And that's why I love
Yeah.
putting on TV because, you know, they want to know who you are. And that additional content gives them more.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, even social media now, so many authors are on social media and they're connecting with their readers and talking back and forth, which means that they can kind of touch you. And they
Yeah.
really want to.
Yeah, social media is great in that way, but in terms of writing, it's horrible in terms of just procrastinating.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sure.
oh, let me
It's
just
a time
check
suck.
social media.
yeah.
Oh, it's a total time suck.
Yeah. for
You know,
sure.
it's one of these things, clients of mine will say, I know I should be on social media. I'm thinking, I know, but once you go, it's like
Oh,
falling into
it's
a
a
black
Yes,
hole.
yes.
It
Like,
is.
help.
It's a big
yeah,
time
yeah.
drain.
Yeah.
It really
It
is.
really is.
I was reading an average for Facebook use, and the average person, and we're talking about 3 billion people across the world, 50 minutes a day.
50 minutes a day.
Can you
That's
imagine
about
how
an
productive
hour
we'd be if
a
we were
day.
not an hour a day on
know, I
Facebook?
know.
Now, there's fabulous things
Well,
about Facebook. I love
yeah.
this, you know, the
Oh,
way
I
I'm
love-
connected
yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook right now, so obviously we love it. But an hour a day,
Day.
well, we want our viewers to watch us for an hour a day.
That's true.
what
That's
they're
what
we
we're
love.
doing.
An hour a day is fine if you're watching
It
between
depends
the
what you're
covers.
watching, though, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
and this
funny.
counts as educational because we're talking
right.
about
That's
books.
right.
But it could be a huge time suck. And if you're sitting there at your desk writing,
Because writing is difficult, and so in those difficult times, you're like, maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I'll check Twitter.
maybe I'll check Twitter. Exactly. Next thing you know, 45 minutes
Right, it's
have
like
passed by.
Procrastination.
So
It's really hard, like our quote
Yeah.
about procrastination.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten a caller yet about our quote. I hope somebody calls in. I'm going to give them a little, I'll read it again in case they forgot what our quote was. But our quote today says, "My advice is never do tomorrow what you can do today. Procrastination is the thief of time. Collar him." Well, whether you get it or not, I think I'm going to frame that and put it over my desk because you're right. We
Yeah.
just start
Yeah.
looking at Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, hours have passed us by,
Right.
and we have authors here. They have more important things to be doing with their time. Absolutely.
I think sometimes I say I need at least 3 lifetimes to do read all the books. I mean, there's so many good books out there.
No,
So many.
I know there are so many good books out there, and you're writing them too, which is fabulous. But you're right. If you want to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. Because you want to always stay up on your craft. You brought some books for us too. You brought so many books for us.
I did. I
that-
brought way too many
She brought
books.
so many that I said
Really?
two,
Yeah.
just
Oh,
two.
wow.
So tell us about what I cut you down here.
Well, yeah, I just went down to these two.
I didn't even look to see what.
Yeah, this is one of my all-time favorites of more contemporary fiction.
Yes.
I have sort of If you read my books, they're crime thrillers. They're suspense crime fiction. So I have a bit of a dark sensibility when it comes to writing and reading. So I gravitate towards books like this in Room, and also Gillian Flynn, who writes Gone Girl and Sharp Objects
okay.
and Dark Places. They're both similar in that way. But
I read Gone Girl, but never Sharp Objects.
I loved it. I just finished
Okay.
it.
Very nice.
So yeah. So
Now,
it,
did you see the movie for Room also?
I
Or no?
did.
And now, what did you think?
Oh,
I know. I always have to say the
I
book was
know.
better.
People always say the book is better, but I think
always
it was. I don't know. Something about all that information, all
Well,
the
especially
details.
'cause it's all in her
and-
head.
Exactly.
You know, so much of that story is in her head. She's a fabulous actress, but it's all in
Right.
her head.
Right.
So it
Right,
really
and the
has to be
story is
book.
told by a child too, which is it's similar to To Kill a
Interesting.
Mockingbird in that way.
Yes.
Really?
So yeah, and I like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you did see the movie and you didn't suffer. It wasn't.
No, it was fine. It was wonderful. No, it was wonderful. But I just did prefer the book.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very rare that I prefer the movie.
Yeah.
Very, very rare. Usually,
Yeah.
once I've read the book, I have this. I love getting the pictures in my own
imagination,
head.
yep.
Yeah, you know, you have a picture of what the villain
Yep.
looks like and
Yep.
the protagonist.
You make it your
and-
own.
Yeah.
Exactly. And once you actually see it on screen, you're like, oh,
Oh yeah.
he was
letdown.
cuter in the book. I liked him in the book so much
That's
better.
funny. That's true.
Now, your book is not fiction at all.
No.
Okay. Totally on another end
Although
of
it
the
kind of
spectrum.
could be fiction.
Now, what inspired it?
I don't know. I just had all these things that happened to me in my childhood, and I had a very interesting childhood from both my parents being Holocaust survivors.
Yes, well, just the part about your parents and grandparents in the
Yeah,
Holocaust,
right.
it was just
I mean, it was horrific. And
awful.
and then their best friends. I changed all the names in
Yes,
the book.
no, of course.
But their best friends were. Her real name was Lydia, who I loved her dearly. She was like my second mother. She was born in Russia. I mean, the stories that this woman went through is you can't even imagine.
Yeah, oh,
You know, she goes, we
God.
picked the bugs out of the soil because there was no food.
I can't even
There was
imagine.
no food.
Oh, my gosh.
And then how she got a job in the for the Nazis. She got on a train, and she was beaten. And I mean, it was.
I was reading, you know,
horrible.
it's one thing to read fiction and you're like, oh, that poor girl.
Right.
I was reading your book and I'm like, oh my God, that
Yes.
poor girl, because I knew
Yeah.
that this was this. All the names are different,
Yeah.
but these are
Yeah.
real stories.
Yeah.
This is really what
stories,
happened.
and these stories that I was told, you know, growing up, and I've always grew up with these two. I call them Michigana parents because they were a little kooky, but they had no childhood. You know, it was ripped from under them because of the war and the bombs going off. My father had to go to London
Oh, my
by
gosh.
himself on the kinder transport, and I mean, it was horrific. So I had all these stories, and then growing up as a teenager, my dad died, and I raised myself, sort of, and I went into some very dark
Yeah.
places
Yeah.
because I was trying to
We're
find
just so
myself.
grateful she's here after reading
Yeah,
that
that's
book.
so nice. Thank
All right,
you,
we're going to take a
Stephanie.
quick break, and she's going to sign my copy. See you in a minute. Very relieved that you're here now that I read the book.
You're
I was
so
like,
sweet.
oh my
Thank you.
God. See, what I'm doing is all of our authors who've been on, I'm keeping a copy so that we can keep
That's
put them-
nice. Pretty
put
soon
them
you'll
in-
be
Yeah, well,
stacks.
yes, but this way, that's why I said please bring me copies so that I can keep putting them out and keep promoting the books.
Aw, that's nice.
STEPHANIE. Yes. Oh, good, Stephen, you're hiding? Fabulous.
It's hiding from all the wild women. Yes.
You got great parents. Oh my God, how wonderful they are.
I don't know. I thought we were on a commercial break, but we
I
might
think
not
we
be
will
on a
not be.
commercial break.
Oh, maybe not.
We might be back.
We're back.
God forbid they warn me about things like this.
I think we do need some wine.
Have some wine. Have some
white or
wine,
red?
just in case they forget to tell us.
White's
Thank
good.
you.
White is good. I'll have a
Thank
little
you.
more white just in case, and then I can spill it.
Thank you
Well,
so
along
much.
with our
You're
authors
welcome.
today, we have a very interesting guest. I love having book professionals who are not necessarily authors. With all due respect to my authors here, Stephen Tiano is a book layout artist. He actually gets it to look not just like paper. So here he is.
Would you like some wine?
He barely even got out here. Want some wine? Have some wine. She's howling. She's got the whole thing going. I need a copy of this.
Oh, it's a
I'm
great
gonna
book.
run with
Two wild women.
wolves.
It's I'm
my gosh.
spilling wine here.
Oh, well,
she's
white,
white.
so it's fine. And if you spill the red wine, we have red couch cushions also, so it's fine. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're all authors. We need you. Tell us what you do.
Well, I take your words and I make books out of them.
Because otherwise, it's just, 65,000 pieces of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
mean,
thought you
I-
just did the covers.
No, he
No,
does
no,
the
I'm
inside,
yeah,
too.
because I'm not an illustrator.
like an editor? No.
like a
no,
layout.
a
layout.
page
Design.
designer.
Oh, the page
Yeah,
designer.
I choose typefaces.
I see.
decide what size the page is going to be, and what it's going to look like.
Now, are there different, certainly I'm sure you treat every book as an individual project, but we have here a fiction thriller author and more of a memoirist. Would they have different looks when laid out on the pages if they both?
Probably because a memoir would tend to have some pictures,
Okay.
some illustrations, photos usually.
Different font choices, different,
Yeah, yeah. Depending on, I try to choose typefaces based on time periods. Sometimes.
Oh, I like that.
Sometimes the place, the
Okay.
setting.
Okay, so if it took place in like Renaissance Germany or something,
Yeah.
it would be very different than if it was modern day New York.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
cool. So the
sure.
person is actually feeling like they're getting the setting from the
From that,
pages.
yeah.
And the feeling
And
of the
and then
Interesting.
the cover
Interesting.
kind of suggests what a reader will find inside, and
Right.
kind of invites them to pick up the book.
Sure.
I like that. Now, you brought some samples with you. Can you tell us a little bit about these samples?
Sure. This is currently my favorite author, a high school girl.
A high school girl author.
She's actually got her own publishing company.
Wow, hold that up so our
She's-
cameras can catch that
Wow,
too.
wow. That's
It's
amazing.
she's got a series, The 100 Most Important,
Okay.
and the first one was New Yorkers. The second one was African Americans.
Ooh, okay.
And the third one I'm working on for her is American Women.
Wow.
Yeah.
The Howlers at the
Yeah, that's
the
right.
name. There it is, the
That's
name.
right.
That's a
Yeah,
great name.
I
yeah. She
love
should
that.
subtitle it. And the capsule.
Well, she's very fortunate she found you.
Yeah, the capsule biographies. Well, it's funny. I answered a posting online. Her father actually put it up for her. That they were considering she'd written something as a project for school.
Right.
This 100, this 100 biography
Right,
book,
right.
1 page per bio, and it turns out that they're from my old neighborhood in Brooklyn. Not that I knew them, but I just I felt, and when I heard how young she was,
Such a
I
great
thought,
idea.
this could be kind of interesting. We
Very
started
cool.
to talk, and I ended up, yeah,
I love
I
Ruth Bader
sourced-
Ginsburg. I just
Yeah.
bought her book.
Did you?
I did. I bought it for my daughter, who's 21 years old and a political science major.
Fabulous. So you
And
did
I happened
this.
to be in an
Yeah.
independent
Yeah,
bookstore,
the
and there it
Mosaic
was
is the,
with a little
the
Ruth Bader
stand
Ginsburg
cover.
theme to go with it. So I bought the whole set for her.
You'll have to let me know how it is.
Oh,
if you read
yes. I haven't read it yet. It's on my
I
list
saw
next to
all
some
the
of her
art.
other books.
Oh my God, what a
What else
great
do you have
thing.
there?
This is awesome.
Let's see.
These are all books that you've done all of the layout for.
Yeah, this is a memoir
Okay.
of a crazy person, actually.
Okay.
yeah. No, the author is. You can tell from the.
Yeah.
Monica,
Yeah.
you're not nuts.
Picture.
Yeah, it's. I'm,
A little wild, but not nuts.
Yeah,
I knew about that.
I'm not quite sure how much of it is true, frankly. It.
Well, it's very funny you mentioned that memoirs nowadays,
Self-imposed
the
author.
lines have gotten blurred
Yeah.
between, shall we say, creative nonfiction
Yeah.
and fiction. There were some memoirists. You're not going to get in trouble for this, but I remember there was one on Oprah that kind of got in trouble because
I remember that.
the stuff wasn't true.
Oh
yeah.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
I
I
remember.
remember.
A million different
I
pieces
remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
I certainly tell authors that I work
Yeah.
with who are writing memoirs, the truth is your version of the truth.
Right.
Certainly what you would write about your childhood and even what your brother, who is just a year younger or older, are very different. You have very
right.
different experiences.
Exactly.
But this person went way beyond just it was seen through the lens of his life. He was actually fabricating, like, I was there when the Hindenburg
Yeah.
blew up, or, you know,
Yeah.
things to kind of elevate himself.
Right.
It's one thing to see your life through your own lens. All of us do.
Right.
I mean, how many times do I say, you know, even to my husband, do you remember we were at that restaurant and all I remember is that wine spilled over? He's like,
What wine?
what wine?
Right.
Like,
Right.
no idea. No idea. And that's what I'll tell memoirists
Yeah.
is, you know, I'll say, don't worry so much about truth, like a journalist. I shouldn't say this in front of our journalist, but when you're, you know, it's your truth,
Right.
which is fine. But if you're saying, well, you know, I took out Hitler with a single shot, okay, that's just a lie. You know, let's not lie about things. That's a totally different story, and people do. And that guy on Oprah got in trouble for that.
Right.
Luckily for him, we forgot his name.
No, I know what I didn't know what to say.
Of course, the journalist remembers his name.
Right.
Good for you. Is he still writing?
I think he is, but I'm not
Really?
sure. I think he moved to fiction. I'm not
Oh,
sure.
really?
though.
Well, that's probably
That
a
would
good
be
move.
smart. That would be smart of him.
Probably a very good move for him to move to fiction since he was
Exactly.
already.
Fiction is safer. I can just, you know, from firsthand experience, it's just, you know,
Well, you know,
it's all pretend. All
Yeah.
It's funny because
you know.
I've written several books, nonfiction books, and I've toyed with. I don't consider myself a fiction writer. I have some sketches about, you know, different stories I've thought about, and I said, you know, it's kind of nice not to have to worry about what the truth is.
It's true.
You know, it's funny. I think that for me, I find that there's more truth in fiction sometimes than there is in nonfiction.
I'm sure you're right.
Nonfiction is very factual.
Yep.
But I feel like fiction's kind of true in ways that
Oh.
nonfiction isn't. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about the top fiction book in America after this commercial break.
Okay.
Wonder what made her pick.
Welcome back! Welcome back to Between the Covers. Well, we were very fortunate to be filming at a time that we just finished up on television, The Great American Read. They were ranking the top 100 books. Voters were coming in on this. My favorite thing about that is people were actually reading. I love that. And voting on what books that they loved. And the number one book that was voted in America for most beloved was To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, I'd asked our authors and book designer before they came on, I kind of sent the top 5 or 10 books and said, we're going to talk about one of these books because obviously America's reading this book. What do you want to talk about? And Monica jumped right in and she's like, I love that book. Please talk about To Kill a Mockingbird. What do you love about this book?
Oh my God, the story is amazing. It depicts human nature and characters and morals and values in a story, with little kids and a setting, this small town setting where there's prejudice, and Atticus, who was just so above that. He was so educated and so dignified, and was teaching this to his children not to be that way. And I just felt it's so heartfelt.
Yeah.
It really touched my heart.
I agree.
Absolutely.
I
I think I have on the screen right now a quote from To Kill a Mockingbird, probably the most famous quote. Shoot all the blue jays you want if you can hit them. But remember, it is a sin to kill a mockingbird.
The chills.
Yeah, because mockingbirds just sing and they don't do anything bad to anyone. you know, and that's that. But you're so right. He was so fabulous. I think our next slide has a little blurb I put up there about Atticus, because what a character, what a person who is absolutely, you know, true to his,
Yep.
and he knew that his family was going to be at risk, and himself, and his, you know, reputation. One of the things I love about the book, now this is an old book, and it did age well. There's a lot of books that are being removed, shall we say, from, because the attitudes that they had. In fact, I was just reading that the whole the Laura Ingalls Wilder series. There was a whole thing that she was removed because of, what did they say? The American Library Association dropped Laura Ingalls Wilder's name from a prestigious Children's Book Award over the author's depictions of Native Americans and African Americans.
I see.
And I mean, I kind of get that, but when she wrote it, it was a different world. And this, even though this is the 50th anniversary, so it's an old book, managed not to do that. You know, which is not easy to be relevant. Look at how many, have you seen television? And if you watch an older show,
Yeah.
did you just cringe?
Sure, some
Yeah.
things seem so out of date.
Right, things that you thought were kind of hip. You know, even things that were, you know, good sitcoms in their day, and you watch them now and you say, ooh, that's really not what we should be saying
Yeah.
about
Right.
things.
Right.
So, you know, I think that this won, shall we say, partly because it aged well. And that's not easy to do. There's a lot of movies that I watch that I say, ooh, not a good time. Wizard of Oz is one of the good ones.
Oh.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that you
Great
watch and
one.
you say, really, that's now it's coming off as completely racist or demeaning to women.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of things that are
Yeah.
Well,
so
particularly in this
demeaning.
climate, I think To Kill a Mockingbird.
It's so important.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so important. I had just grabbed, because we were all talking about To Kill a Mockingbird, 3 lessons from To Kill a Mockingbird. I hope we have our slides up here with 3
good.
lessons. I'm sure we can have 85 lessons from To Kill a Mockingbird. But our first lesson, and since we have a book cover designer, I put a different cover. I don't know if you could see it on the screen there.
Yeah.
This is the original cover of To
interesting.
Kill a
Oh,
Mockingbird.
wow.
Yeah, I didn't want to just, you know, let that space go. I said, oh, we have a cover designer. I need to think about this. But to treat everyone equally. And another very, very famous quote from To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was our quote last week, I believe, for our callers. You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it. It's amazing that 50 years ago they were writing a book saying to treat everyone equally, and you know what? We still haven't learned, have
Yeah. No,
Yep.
no, things haven't
so
changed
true.
much at all.
we? No.
In fact, we may have gone backward.
It's amazing that 50 years later, the message is just as important.
It is.
It's
so
not
true.
like, you know, we're reading and saying, oh, we don't do that anymore. We do. We do, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely terrible. Our next slide, which is, I think it might be this cover, or at least it's close to this cover, which was a much more recent cover. Think for yourself instead of following the crowd, and never be afraid to stand up for what's right. Monica will attest to that because she's
Yeah.
been shouting about being ourselves
Yeah.
and since this whole episode. And the quote I put there is, the one thing that doesn't abide by majority rule is a person's conscience.
I think that quote is so important today in terms of just the internet and social media.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
The internet is
So-
like the bastion for bad behavior.
I know.
Isn't it?
I know.
I mean, I love so many
It has
things.
the opportunity to elevate
Yes.
us, but somehow,
Yes.
sometimes it drags us down. And,
Well, and more than
tell my
that,
kids,
the
fight, fight.
authenticity.
yeah.
People lie.
Yeah.
You don't, you know, how many people
Correct.
aren't themselves
Yeah.
Right.
online.
Right.
You know, when my kids were in school, I remember a sign in their classroom one year that said, you know, before you say something, is it kind? Is
Yep.
it
Yes.
necessary? Does
Exactly.
it build people up?
Exactly.
How many people on the internet
Yeah.
just say things just to make you feel bad?
Yeah.
They do. Just to make you feel bad about yourself. And you're like, really? Was that really necessary? I mean, I was looking at a recipe, of all things, a recipe, because I don't really cook very well. So I was really trying, because I have to cook, you know, Thanksgiving next week. So there was this recipe, and I started reading the comments, and one person said, I'm sorry that everyone's writing such terrible comments about this. And now I'm curious.
Oh, gosh.
So now I'm reading. Okay, the comments were about, it was about a prime rib that was cooked to a medium rare. Fine. My husband personally wants it tough and leathery, but so I leave it in the oven longer. I'm not going to insult the chef. The picture was mouth-watering. And people were actually writing it. I'm like, really? Really? Don't you have a job?
I know.
Like-
I know.
Like hundreds of people. This isn't cooked enough. Really?
A lot of
Just
publications.
click and keep moving.
They're,
Keep moving.
they're disabling the comments, unfortunately, because of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful picture of, I mean, I'd kill to be able to cook that well. And if you want your meat more well done than that, leave it in the oven. That I can do even. You know?
Go write a book. Go write a
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do something productive.
Do something
you know?
productive with yourself. I don't understand people. So, yes, don't follow the crowd.
No.
Don't do that. Now, this next one, next lesson, and this is a new cover also that you're going to see. This came out with the 50th anniversary. Mine is a 50th anniversary too, but this next slide has a different cover that I never saw before. Put there just for Stephen, our cover designer, so that he would appreciate it. Never give up, no matter what the outcome. I love that. And real courage is when you know you're licked before you begin, but you begin anyway and see it through no matter what. I mean, that's
Yep.
the truth.
Powerful.
That is my motto as a writer, actually.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just never give up.
Just never give
what do
up.
you have to lose? I'm always asked what advice I could give to new writers.
Wow.
And that's always
Never
it.
give up.
You know,
Oh, I
just
love
keep
that.
going. Because there's always that little voice inside of you saying, you're not good enough,
Yeah.
you can't do this, what are
Yeah.
you trying to do, who's going to read it? You just have to kind of ignore it and just, you have nothing to lose.
I
You
call
know,
it the
give it a
itty bitty
try.
shitty committee.
Yes.
I like I'll toast
Yes.
to that. You're right. We are our
That's a
own
good one.
worst
Yeah.
enemies.
We
aren't
are. We are.
You know,
And
it's not enough that the internet is terrible people.
we could do
that
it to
person
ourselves.
on our shoulder
Yeah.
is just mean.
Yeah.
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 They're just really, really mean, and they
Or they're
tell us
scared.
they're scared.
Yeah.
It's the default mechanism that we go
Yeah.
back to. I'm taking a lot of neuroscience classes right now,
Ooh.
and it's the default mechanism. It's what we do naturally for our protection.
Right.
However, we have what you call the prefrontal lobe and the neocortex, which is the newer brain. Neo means new, to override that.
Yeah.
But it takes understanding to do that.
And it is very scary
It
as
is.
an
It's
author
scary.
Yeah.
to
Yes, put
put
yourself
your
out there.
words on a page
Yes.
for someone to sit here and be like,
Especially for the
Oh,
first
look at
one.
that.
Yeah, I know. Especially for the first book where I
Yeah.
hadn't had a book out,
Right.
and you wonder. And I wrote at night. I wrote Baby Grimm mostly at night.
really?
Yeah, and I thought, who's going to care? Is anyone going to get this? Am I, I'm taking time away from my children. Is it worth it? But I thought it was. So
It was in you.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
it's
You.
worth
It-
it.
and
Well,
It's so worth it.
The whole move to self-publishing has removed a lot of that.
Well,
Yep.
you know, you get to publish because you want to.
Yeah.
And what a gift to yourself.
Yeah.
But you didn't take anything away from your children. What
Yeah,
a
you
gift to your
gave to them.
children.
Yeah.
Not just the
Gave
book,
something, a
but that
legacy
their
to-
mom
Yeah.
did this. I
Exactly.
think that's so cool.
Aw, thank you.
You know, for your kids to be able to say, "My mom's an author." That's very cool.
That'll
that they're
live
saying-
on forever.
I hope they think
really,
so.
You know?
It's empowering, I bet.
Well, if they don't, how old are they?
21, 19, and 16.
Okay, almost the same ages as mine. Yeah, well, they vacillate between my mom's an author and what's her name? Lock her number. I know.
No, I know they're proud of me. They do
know,
tell
but-
me. They
but-
do tell me.
But what that does to your children is you have now shown them
Yeah.
you can do anything. And that's
Yeah.
the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
If we can tell our children, you can
do this.
anything.
It's
and you're
hard, but
doing
you can
it.
do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's fabulous. One of the things To Kill a Mockingbird is so famous for, which is on our next slide, it is one of the 10 most banned books.
Really?
It is.
I didn't know that.
I think it came in at number 7 for most banned books. It was banned as recently as last year in Mississippi.
way.
Yes. Yes, it's banned constantly. It's banned because of racism, violence, and offensive language. Really, as compared to what, turn on Netflix.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
I mean, really.
Crazy.
This is nothing compared to what I see.
Turn on the news.
And the
Yeah,
racism is
right.
actually, to me,
Exactly.
anti-racism, because it's
Right. It's
You
teaching
know,
a lesson about
the reason
that.
it was banned
Right.
most recently was because of the use of the N word in the book. Now, I certainly understand that that was the colloquial way and writing dialogue like that 50 years ago, and it was being said by people who were actually on the good guy side, if we want to say that.
Right.
But that's why it was banned, also because there is an incident of a rape that they talk about. It's not graphic. I mean, it's not 50 Shades of Grey kind of a thing.
Right.
But because of that and the violence, it has been banned as recently as last year.
Wow.
So, no, we haven't changed much at all. It is number 7 in the most banned. Of course, now I have to read the other 6. Because I'm sure I'm going to love those 6 books.
You see.
Exactly.
What would number 1 be now?
I know. Now I'm going
my
to check that
gosh.
out.
Still Ulysses.
You know, I was
probably.
doing my research and I heard top 7. I should have kept going and seen what are the first 6.
I'm gonna have to
Still
check
Ulysses.
that
I
Trust
got
me,
number
I'll
1.
tell you on a
Yeah.
later episode. There'll be more. And then our last slide that I put up, which I had all sorts of, I mean, there's a million things in this book,
Yeah.
but different themes and symbols that are used in here, from judgment, prejudice, integrity. It's so about integrity. We could all take a page out of this book when it comes to integrity.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I just saw the movie because I cheated. I asked our book professionals here what book they wanted to discuss, and they all voted on To Kill a Mockingbird. And because I wanted to read our authors' books this week before they came on, I said to myself, okay, I have, X number of hours. I want to read their books. And I read To Kill a Mockingbird years ago. But I wanted to refresh my memory. So I said, well, I could either read the back, get the Cliff Notes, I sound like my college kids now, or watch the movie. So I figured I'd watch the movie. And that was my, brush off. And, when it comes to integrity, there was one scene in the movie, and I'm sure it's in the book also, but it really stood out to me, and it was at the end of the trial. And Atticus was the last person to leave. And all of the people who are not allowed down in the courtroom floor, they were all up in the balconies. And when he left, they all stood up as a sign of respect to him. I got chills. I
Yeah.
did just that, Monica.
Yeah.
I got chills. And, sometimes the movie does something nice.
No, that's true.
And that one they did. There were a lot of times in the movie that I felt like, okay, they're taking a long time with exposition here, because in the book I would have been in their head.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
Right.
But that, seeing them all stand up,
Wow.
just kind of gave you chills.
And to have his children see that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
His children, well, like your children, knowing that their mom is an author, any of our children, because that's what we do is setting them up.
Right.
They see that what we do, and they can do that too. That's a huge gift that we can get them, not just a pile of books, but the gift of knowing that they can do anything they set their mind to, and that's a huge gift. You have kids. You want them to know that they can do anything that they set their mind to.
Absolutely.
That is so huge as a thing.
Yeah.
So if you haven't yet read the #1 book in America, please read To Kill a Mockingbird, because evidently America loves it. Next week, just if you want to get a little jump start on it, and my authors were really annoyed when I showed them what next week's book is. I think this actually came out at around number 7 or so on the list. I love this. And if you're a Long Islander, this is very cool. So if you want to read this week so you can watch our show next week and be all caught up, that would be great. We're just going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back. Thanks. we haven't had a single caller on our quote. I'm going to give them one more chance and hope that they get it. I didn't think it was
a hard one.
I guess it's a hard one. Well, even if it's a hard one and you don't know the quote, please write it down because we all need
Yeah,
to
it's a
live
great
by
quote.
it. Okay. Our quote for today is: "My advice is never do tomorrow what you can do today. Procrastination is the thief of time. Collar him." I will give you a hint that although that does sound like a nonfiction business time management book, it's not. It's from a novel. Okay. A novel that has absolutely nothing to do with that quote. Maybe that's my problem here. We'll see if we get a caller.
Well,
If
people
not,
could cheat today. Go into Google and you can.
I know.
That's true.
One of my authors once said that. They said, "Don't they have Google?" I'm like, "Don't tell them they have Google."
There's no excuse for having it.
Yeah, information is.
I know. You would think that they can get anything that they want to get. When I was looking into book stuff, because I'm always on Google and always looking into book stuff, the year 2018 was actually being touted by major publishing houses and such as the year of politics, because the political books are all the rage. Whether it's Michelle Obama's book was just released today. Bill Clinton actually had a book with James Patterson. Did anyone read that book? I heard it was
No, but I
terrific.
heard
it was
about
good.
it. Yeah,
I heard it was
mystery,
great, and I didn't read it yet. So
Yeah, the president is missing.
the
I
president
think.
is
really?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's up your alley. 'cause
Yeah,
you know-
I love
You
that.
didn't read it yet?
Yeah. No, I didn't read it yet. no.
Okay, because you know that whole political
Yeah.
intrigue, mystery
It's right up my
kind
alley.
of thing. I know,
Yeah.
I know. I have to read that one. But there's a lot of books out. But one of my favorites, I had to kind of, I should have made a slide so they can see the cover. There's a children's book out. You have to hear about this. Called A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. It's about a bunny. I know you probably can't see this. This is the cover. And
I've
it's
heard
a
of
children's
this.
book and it's about a bunny. Okay, but you have to hear the synopsis. Authors are so creative. I love this. It's a political parody. Meet Marlon Bundo, a lonely bunny who lives with his grandpa, Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States.
Yep.
But
Yep.
they took a detour, of course. But on this very special day, Marlon's life is about to change forever. With its message of tolerance and advocacy, this charming children's book explores issues of same-sex marriage and democracy. Evidently, the bunny is gay. I couldn't believe
I've heard about this.
I don't know how
Yeah.
I found this
Yeah.
book. It
and,
just
and,
kind of,
and the joke is, of course, Pence.
and it's the number
Yeah.
one children's book
Oh,
on Amazon.
are you kidding?
Yeah.
Right now,
That's hysterical.
I had to laugh because I was
That's
actually putting in
hysterical.
my
I have
show
to
notes
find that.
today.
Stephen Colbert? Is that Stephen Colbert?
No,
No,
actually,
it's
it's a
Colbert.
woman, Jill Twice, wrote it. And, well, she said
to
that
check
Marlon
that
Bundo,
out.
the bunny, wrote it, but,
Yeah.
but she's the illustrator, but she's the writer. But
that's
what an
hysterical.
interesting, creative
Wow.
way to write a political parody. You
That
know, there's
is
so many
fantastic.
biography, autobiography, and Bill Clinton doing it with,
Yeah.
you know, a novelist. That's really cool
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
with all due respect to all of these memoirs, I'm a little, you know, it's enough. They're all
Yeah.
kind of regurgitating. But I thought a children's book
Look, that's
with
so creative.
a bunny. Isn't that so creative? I thought
So
that was
Yeah,
the coolest thing I ever
I heard about this a while ago. Yeah.
Well, when I looked on Amazon, they were #1 in 3 different
And the
categories.
content sounds amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
I thought that was so cool. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're looking for an interesting children's book, Jill Twice
Oh
is
my
getting
gosh.
an extra plug from me on this show because I was talking about political books, and who knew
There's a good-
that a children's book was going to be a political book?
Yeah,
Christmas
children's
present.
book are actually my favorites to work on.
Are they really? I bet
Yeah,
from
yeah,
you.
the
You're
best.
just
Yeah, the
visuals.
designer.
and
Yeah.
it was years before I did my first one, and I love doing them. They're a lot of fun.
I can
Well,
imagine.
Barnes & Noble is reporting a 57% surge in political books this year.
Wow.
So
Gee, I wonder
you
why.
should write more. Maybe all of our authors here
Yeah.
should write more in the political stream because of 57% surge. But even our children's books
Yeah.
are getting a big bump up
Yeah.
from that. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of fun. I also found in my little tooling around, I found this thing. I don't know if we're going to agree with it, especially you said you're a slow reader.
I am.
You said you're a slow reader
Very
but a
slow
fast
reader,
writer.
yeah.
It said, how long does it take to read 100 pages? If the average page has 250 to 300 words, then the word count for a 100-page book is 25,000 to 30,000 words. So it should take you 83 to 100 minutes to read a book, a 100-page book.
How long? It should take
It'd take about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
to read a
100-page book. In which case, at that speed, the Bible takes 44 hours. Do you think you can get through the Bible in 44
I don't
hours?
think so.
The Harry Potter series, 60 hours. And the Game of Thrones series,
my
which he hasn't even finished writing yet, 98 hours.
Wow.
Okay, so if you've got 98 free hours or 44 hours, you know what you can be reading. Well, a huge thank you to our authors here. Can you just give us a quick shout out what your website address is so we can find you and such?
My series is the Baby Grand Trilogy, and my website is dinasantorelli.com, and my books are available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold.
Terrific.
You can reach my book and get my book on monicabennett.net or howmayiserve.net. And my other website is monicabennett.biz, B-I-Z.
Fantastic. That's
Yeah, my website is www.tianobookdesign.com.
fantastic. Or go to BetweenTheCoversTV.com. I have all of their links, social media links, links to buying their books, and also old episodes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay!